Thank you for watching Tomorrow's America. My name is William Donahue. Today I'm going to be talking about the Israel-U.S. joint strikes on Iran. Now, um, the big debate is that Trump didn't have the power to do this strike. Technically, what we did was Israel struck, and we have a treaty with Israel that we would provide them backup on any operations that they carry out. So Israel struck, the U.S. backed them up, and we didn't go in for 5 hours. So Israel was carrying out their strikes. We went in 5 hours after they initiated things, and the U.S. Technically wasn't violating any war powers as it concerns the Constitution. So, before I get into all this, please like and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it so already, and feel free to leave any comments. We like to read the comments and see what people think or what we might have missed. So the first article I have is about Ayatollah Khamenei. He was pronounced dead by the U.S. first and confirmed dead by the Iranian government. So you can pull up number one. This creates a potential for a massive power vacuum with all the different factions of the Muslim community and with the citizens. I know that there was, some people who were banned from running in 2020, and it looks like Iran is accepting them back into their leadership a little bit here with, the whole thing, the whole regime being toppled. So they are looking at I'm butchering this name, Al Riza Arafi, as a potential interim leader in between Khomeini and whoever they're going to pick as their supreme leader. You can take that down and get the strike map ready. So there's been a lot of military action in Iran. It's been, the U.S., Israel, Iran with their retaliatory strikes. They hit a tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. But this map on clip number 3 is showing, and I recommend that everyone go to this article, and it's not on there. I recommend that everyone go to this article because this article shows where all the strikes are, all the different action. There it is. So you can see the lit up white part is Iran, and all the red ones, I believe, are U.S. Strikes. There's a color chart. It shows the Israel strikes, the U.S. strikes, and then the retaliatory strikes by Iran. And then if you look in the Strait of Hormuz, there's one in the water. I'm not sure if that signifies where this tanker was hit, or you could get number 4 ready too, the tanker. I'm not sure if that's where the tanker was hit, but there was a tanker hit in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this has been a big deal because the insurance companies don't want to insure any ships traveling to and from with cargo and valuable, oil and all that. So the Strait of Hormuz is essentially closed down because Iran displayed that they're willing to hit ships in the Strait of Hormuz. And, by doing so, basically what they did was they trapped all the ships that are already in the Strait of Hormuz in the water there. You see it doesn't connect to anything. All those ships are practically stuck there. And all the ships that were going to go through there turned around. So that's massively crippling to the world economy as a whole. A lot of places rely on getting their oil through the Strait of Hormuz. Also, trade. This is interesting because it's not in China's interest, and China backs Iran heavily. So for the Strait of Hormuz to be shut down, China has massive oil reserves, but I don't know, maybe like 2 years worth. So they probably could weather this, but it's not directly in their interest. So that was basically what's been going on with Iran. Now, for the US, and you could get number 5 ready here. This is a video. I have a video for you. So we've been told by the government that the reason that we have to fight Iran is because Iran is the number one state sponsor of terrorism. They chant death to America, and they might have a nuclear bomb. So the nuclear bomb thing is probably last show I showed Netanyahu repeatedly saying that they were 2 weeks away from a bomb, but since like 1998 or whatever. And I said, well, here he goes with his lies. Iran technically had the uranium enriched, and they had the warheads and all the. I mean, this is kind of speculation or based on just journalists and their sources or whatever, but they have the warheads. They need to assemble the bombs, and that would take 2 weeks to put it all together, and then they could be nuclear armed and have an arsenal. As far as the delivery systems, I believe that they've been supplied the delivery systems now that this whole conflict's going on, because basically they could just attach it to a hypersonic missile and launch it. So we've seen them launch hypersonic missiles. All they have to do is put a nuclear tip on the missile, and they have the delivery systems. So those are the reasons why we're being told that we have to go to a war with Iran. But the state sponsor of terrorism part is the one that I want to focus on. Now, pull up clip number 5. Clip number 5 here, I called it U.S. terror funding, because we also fund terrorism throughout the world. We back rebel groups that later become huge terror organizations, and hit shift 7, huge terror organizations that end up negatively affecting us later politically down the road. And we've funded a lot of terrorist organizations. So this guy is going to explain, and I'm not sure how old this clip is, but he's going to explain all the terrorism that the U.S. has funded. And it's all the same terror groups that we accuse Iran of funding. So it's kind of like a big chessboard, but everybody's got their hands in each other's pieces. So you can play that clip.
Are you aware that we are sending $40 million a week to the Taliban?
Yes, sir.
Can you name other instances of foreign aid going to terrorist organizations?
We have assisted Al-Shabaab in Somalia. There's been instances of the Hamzi network in Sudan, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Kataiba Hezbollah, Hayat Tahrir al-Shams in Syria. Dozens of terror organizations have received indirect assistance from U.S. foreign aid.
Are you aware that we are sending $40 million? That we are sending.
So, obviously, I'm not on there. So, I'm just in a little window on the side if you could figure out how to. So, we've been involved with Iran-Contra, the Afghan pullout, and obviously all the things that he just mentioned. Hit shift 1. All the things that he just mentioned. So these things, like Obama got caught funding ISIS, even Israel, they say created Hamas because they didn't have any adversary in the region. Created, funded, however they phrase it. It's a fact that they funded it at its inception, and it's become, a problem for them. And now they get to get U.S. funding to help them fight it so that they can grow their territory, which, what happened with Gaza, and now they're trying to annex the West Bank, and then we're seeing them almost kind of essentially carpet bomb Iran. It doesn't look good, so I don't know. Basically, the fallout of all this is that the whole world's responding. So, there's going to be action in Europe because they have stakes in this, action in Russia because they have stakes in this, China, the Middle East, the U.S. We'll see which side Canada's on, because they like to switch sides recently. It's been a pretty big thing that we decided to commit to. So number 7 here, you can put that on the screen. We have decided to commit to this. Donald Trump said that we are going to be involved in this conflict for at least 4 to 5 weeks, which to me sounds like 4 weeks to flatten the curve, 2 weeks to flatten the curve from COVID. But it's Trump saying we need 4 weeks to flatten the curve on Muslim terrorism or whatever. We're supposedly going to be at war for 4 to 5 weeks, and then the conflict will be resolved. Now, we've already toppled the regime. They're saying that they don't have a plan in place to help, the people. They have to figure that out and decide on their own. What it looks like is that the president and, all the government is going to get together and decide who a new supreme leader is going to be as fast as possible. That's what Iranian law says that they have to do. Also, Khomeini issued an order to for the soldiers to fight on even without leadership. So, we're going to have different factions basically vying for power until they get an official leader in place. So 4 weeks, to flatten the curve on Muslim terrorism. And basically, we already had an attack in the U.S., in Austin, Texas. And this is a big deal because this attack could have been avoided. So article number 8 you could put up there. This was in Austin, and as you'll see when it comes up, the man is wearing a shirt that says Allah, property of Allah. Scroll down a little bit. He's wearing a shirt that says property of Allah. So obviously they went to his Facebook, or they went to his house. They found pictures of the supreme leader in his house. They found, obviously he was wearing that shirt, as you could see here. Ran around, and I believe he killed 2 people, and 12 were injured. So this is the first shockwave in the U.S., and you can pull that down and get right on clip number 9. It's going to be a video. That's the first shockwave in the U.S. So under the Biden administration, we had open borders, completely wide open borders. And on the Mexico side, we saw a lot of, Chinese military-age men coming in. Obviously, normal people, women. The majority of the women had been raped at some point in their journey. All that, everything that we know about the open borders. But what also happened around the same time, and I'm sure some of it came through Mexico, but a lot of terrorists were coming in through Canada. Canada apparently wasn't securing their border and allowed a bunch of terrorists into the United States. If you remember, Donald Trump had an Iranian assassin after him. We arrested multiple people on the terror watch list, and you can put this video up because this Austin shooter is the first of many. He came in under the Biden administration. He came in under the Biden administration and committed terrorism. But there was, as you could see in this video, put it on full screen and just hit play. 18,000 terrorists.
NCTC has been crunching the numbers and going through the sheer volume of known and suspected terrorists that are in the country that came in under the Biden administration. So far, NCTC has identified around 18,000 known and suspected terrorists that the Biden administration let come into our country. These are individuals who under normal circumstances would never be allowed to enter our country because of their ties to jihadi groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Yet the Biden administration not only let them into the country, and in many cases facilitated their entry into the country, just like the entry of the Afghan terrorists who committed the terrorist attack here just before Thanksgiving, killing one of our National Guard members and wounding another. That Afghan was brought into the country as a group of over 100,000 Afghans who were brought here during the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. These individuals, despite what has been reported, were not vetted properly to come into the United States. The individual terrorist who committed the attack in DC, he was vetted to serve as a soldier in Afghanistan. The Biden administration essentially used his tactical level vetting as a ruse to bring him here and to bring him into our communities. And we've seen the tragic results of that. Now, that Afghan, that attacker, that terrorist is just one of 88,000. We've identified 2,000 of that group of 88,000 who have ties to terrorist organizations. We're working right now hand in hand with DHS and with the FBI to run down this 2,000, the Afghans who came here under Allies Welcome who have ties to terrorist organizations, and additionally the other 16,000 individuals with ties to terrorist organizations that Biden let into our country. That is probably the top terrorist threat that we face right now, and that doesn't include the individuals who came here illegally through the open border. That number, alarmingly, remains unknown at this time. We're trying to figure out who those individuals are as well.
Okay. So, 18,000 known terrorists, 88,000 people with terrorist ties, and that's not to mention who they might have recruited once they got into the country. So, he mentioned DHS. Now, another problem with this whole strike is that the Republicans negotiated the government funding, and they decided to be spineless and allow there to be a provision in there that takes away funding from the DHS. So they're getting a lot of funding through FEMA to continue to pay certain people, you know, with important roles or whatever. I know that Kristi Noem, or I believe, yeah, Kristi Noem. She's the leader of DHS, and Kristi Noem. Tulsi Gabbard's the DNI. Kristi Noem is not taking a paycheck from this. While the funding is down for DHS, and you could get clip 10 ready, because in clip 10, Pete Hegseth, and it's a short clip too. Pete Hegseth, sorry guys, I did not introduce, but my wife is actually, for the first time, running the computer and trying to do the production a little bit. So we are working on it, and she's doing a great job, I think. But I just wanted to mention that because we are starting a little community of people. Rich is not able to do the show today. Kristen may or may not fill in. Paul and Mikey and Jeremiah, they were guys that, you know, were going to join the show. And a lot of, you know, some people got married, and Some people move to Florida, and there's a lot going on. So we're just figuring everything out. But so in clip 10, Pete Hegseth, he talks about these sleeper cells, and that's what they are, sleeper cells. They're people who came into the country who have some kind of affiliation, and they're waiting for, which I predicted to when the El Paso airport got shut down for a day because of a cartel drone. I said, they're not sure who's in this country, and they might have been waiting for the Iran strikes to figure out if they could figure out networks within the United States of people who might be potential sleeper cells. They found surface-to-air missiles coming through the border. They found fake police uniforms. They found all kinds of stuff. So essentially, the concern is that there are people in this country with ties to terrorist organizations who might have a storage unit somewhere with all this stuff ready to go, and they're waiting for some kind of signal, like when the Ayatollah dies. Who all the Ayatollahs in Iran are direct descendants of Muhammad. So if like all the Catholic leaders were direct descendants of Jesus, and one of them was killed by Iran, we would be pretty outraged, and we would probably have some kind of reaction and look at it in a religious way. So when you kill the Ayatollah, that might be a signal to activate these sleeper cells in these terrorist organizations. And Pete Hegseth here, he says, kind of brushes it off like we got it taken care of. But it's concerning because DHS doesn't have any funding. That's the Department of Homeland Security that doesn't have any funding. We need to secure the homeland. How, I wonder how he thinks that we have it all taken care of. But go ahead and play the clip.
Of course, we're paying attention to any potentialities there. This is a former regime, that seeks to export that ideology, try to sow terror. We're ready for that. We've seen these types of folks before, and the American people can rest assured that we're vigilant on that. Of course, we're paying attention to any potentialities there.
So they said
this is a former regime.
They're saying that they're on that. They're taking care of it. But we just had a terrorist attack in Austin. Now, this guy's been in the U.S. for a while, so he might not have been talking to anybody or in communication. I'm sure there's an investigation, but we did just have a terror attack. So he says it with that much confidence, but it's concerning because our DHS is not funded right now. So another effect, this is number 11, and you can put it on the screen whenever you're ready. Another concern, and this is economists predicting what the possible outcomes of this as it relates to oil, because Iran is the #1 exporter of oil. So they're saying that it could potentially get up to $100 a barrel for oil, which would massively raise oil prices, obviously, would go through the roof. This is just an article that's talking about those predictions and what might come out of it. So that's pretty much all that I had on Iran. And you could put up Article 12. I'm not sure if this has anything to do with the fallout of the Iran situation and the response to it, or if Putin wants to take his energy and focus it on the Middle East now. He's done with the war with Ukraine. But essentially, Russia, after the attacks, has said that they're willing to accept U.S. security guarantees if the U.S. comes in to Ukraine and, occupies Ukraine and secures it, that NATO or the EU isn't involved, and creates a buffer zone between NATO so that Russia can feel confident with, ending the war and not having something else happen. A guarantee from the U.S. for security in the region is on the negotiation table, and that could potentially bring an end to that conflict. So let's hope that they do that. I'm gonna end the show, so you hit end live when I'm done. So that's all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for watching. Again, if you haven't already, please like and share this video. It's important for the algorithm and for growing the channel and just for spreading the word about the show, and for getting people informed, because these types of topics can be confusing. I like to put all the information together and put these shows out there just so that it's out there so that people, have a place to go to, get the knowledge. Me and Rich kind of pontificate and go into things and talk sometimes. But generally, when I do these solo episodes, those are like our reports, like well-researched reports with just a streamline of facts. So anyone who might be confused, please send this video out, and leave a comment on the video letting me know what you think. And I'll end the show like we do every day. Christ is King. Get in your Bibles. Pray for the world. Pray for what's going on. Pray for the people of Iran, the people of Israel, the entire region. Pray that this doesn't get out of hand. Iran has talked about potentially demonstrating that they do have a nuclear missile. And for anyone who hasn't really looked into it, the Rand Corporation does these war game scenarios where they put out, if a bomb hit Istanbul, all the things that would happen. And okay, so they hit Istanbul, then the U.S. strikes wherever, then they strike back and they hit this base, and U.S. soldiers die. So then the U.S. nukes whatever country, then they would nuke them back in these cities. They do these war game scenarios that tell you how things would play out. That's generally where a lot of these things come from, where not only governments get their war games a lot from the Rand Corporation, but also where journalists and analysts can go to just look into the future, and anyone, because it's on the internet, it's publicly available. Anybody could go there and look at the potential avenues that we can go down depending on what happens. So that's a good resource for people. But thank you for watching. I appreciate all the viewers, and I hope that everybody has a good night, and tune in next time for more analysis. We'll see what happens with this Iran stuff and where it all goes. But pray for the world, and thank you for watching.